Hello everyone, this is Poohead189, and today we're going to do some more hot takes. We're going to get a chunk of them out of the way. Now, I think there's going to be one or two more videos after this one on hot takes. Man, I've gone through a bunch, but there was about 200 of them, so it's hard to say if I've gotten through the majority of them or not. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through a few of your regular hot takes. Then I'm going to get the YuYu Hakusho hot takes that people put under my pinned comment, which I wouldn't have recommended you do because that wouldn't put it in the regular line of hot takes. But hey, people did, and that's okay. And that will be purely YuYu Hakusho. And then I will go to the hot takes that my patrons gave after I said they could add a few more. And then we'll be done for this video. But now let's start it off. Okay, now let's do a few of the regular ones. Okay. Piku2Abel says, Gogeta and Vegito are extremely overrated. They're just less charismatic versions of Gotenks. I mean, I think they are overrated because I think fusions in general tend to be overrated, but I'm not certain how Gotenks is more charismatic than they are. All three act pretty much the same. I mean, Gotenks is sillier, but that's due to the fact that it's two kids. So, yeah, I'm going to say it's alright. If you're talking about Gotenks being sillier, then I guess I could see it. But I do agree with Gogeta and Vegito are extremely overrated. I like it. I like fusions. I like Gogeta and Vegito, and Gotenks, but I do think they're overrated. Yes. Okay. Ramirez Temp says, my hot takes. 1. Most of Dragon Ball plot holes and inconsistencies are just the result of YouTubers trying to mix everything on the same timeline. Really? I didn't know that they would do that. Then again, I haven't seen a bunch of videos, but who knows? Okay, next. Asking for a Dragon Ball What If show or a complete reboot is ironic because the Dragon Ball fandom has criticized Western comics for doing exactly that. That is true. Yeah, I will agree. I think What Ifs and reboots are way overdone. I'm still amazed that that's a popular thing in the fandom. Like no shade if you like it. I'm just saying, like, I wonder why in the Dragon Ball fandom, because Dragon Ball is something you can always talk about regularly. Like, only in something that has very little to talk about left that that would be the way to transition into that. But like Dragon Ball, there's always something to talk about. Okay, and Shueisha was most likely never going to share the rights to adapt the Moro and Granola arcs, even if Daima wasn't made. You might be right there. You might be right. That's difficult. I'm going to say your first hot take on the YouTubers thing, I don't know enough about that, but I believe you. Your second hot take on the reboots and what ifs is ironic because the Dragon Ball fandom has criticized Western comics for doing exactly that. I also agree. I think that's pretty much perfect. And the Shueisha one, I'm going to say is with the Moro and Granola arcs, I'm going to say that's pretty good. Okay. Nothing super spicy. Although I do like you calling out fans for doing that. Yeah. Dragon Ball fans... Okay, I shouldn't say this because when you say Dragon Ball fans, it sounds like I'm speaking about every fan, when usually it's just a small minority of them. But it seems like Dragon Ball fans are often very large hypocrites. Unfortunately. But then again, there's plenty that aren't. So it's hard to say. Okay. Fruit Loops. Hey, Fruit Loops. 2058 says, in the future, I prefer the series to continue introducing new techniques rather than transformations. You know, I agree. In fact, I think that's perfect. That is perfect. You know, I've thought of that before, but a long time ago I forgot it. That's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, Fruit Loops, that's, yeah, based. Awesome. I agree. So true.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Especially if the techniques aren't like hacks techniques. They're techniques that like make things interesting. Okay. Gregus9655. Super Saiyan 2 Goku is way better than Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. I think Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Super Saiyan 2 Goku are about the same, but when I'm thinking that, I'm thinking of preteen Gohan, not adult Gohan. Although Super Saiyan 2 adult Gohan isn't not cool. Goku is way... I mean, your profile picture is Super Saiyan 2 Goku. So obviously you practice what you preach. I gotta give you that. I will say Super Saiyan 2 Goku is way underrated. Gohan usually gets the billing for Super Saiyan 2, but Goku's goes hard. I gotta be real. Okay, it's pretty good. Okay, Felicia... the Buu Saga is underappreciated for its way of wrapping up the whole show by mixing comedic/mystical fighting from OG Dragon Ball with serious choreography like the end of OG and Z. Vegeta vs. Kid Buu is like modern Toriyama's writing versus 1984 Toriyama's writing, as if they're fighting over superiority. Dragon Ball Z ending with Frieza Saga just doesn't make sense. Ending with Cell Saga is alright, but still feels a bit empty, while Buu Saga is absolutely perfect. One thing I don't like is the rigid animation, though. I'm going to assume you mean in the anime for the whole thing, not just the animation part. Well, maybe not entirely. I mean, like, you are right. Comedic and mystical fighting is prevalent in the Buu Saga. I would need to look at Vegeta and Kid Buu thinking that it was a lot like old Dragon Ball because I didn't notice it last time I read it, which was like 2-3 months ago. But you could be right about that. The Buu Saga would be a really good saga if the power wasn't so inconsistent and they made slightly more definitive statements and they maybe added the usual note of like non-Saiyans fighting. Like everything else, yeah, it is good. I'll say it's an alright take. But that is a good one. You know what? I'm going to say it's a good take because even if I don't agree 100%, I do think that that is something I haven't thought of much, and you could be right. Okay, Ben's Boneyard 6379. Hey, my name is Ben too. Sonic isn't a Dragon Ball ripoff. Who thinks Sonic's a Dragon Ball ripoff? Just because something takes inspiration from another thing doesn't make it a ripoff. I agree. Who the fuck? Who says it's a Dragon Ball ripoff? Now look, Dragon Ball has been the inspiration for a bunch of very popular things. I don't doubt that Sonic is one of those things that's taking inspiration from Dragon Ball, but it's not a ripoff. No. No. Why would they think that? Is it because of the electricity aura and the hair and the super speed? I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. That's silly. Okay, good man. Oh, hey, good man. 4966. The end of Z is not great at all. I agree. It's not great. I think it's all right. It's not horrible, but yeah, it's certainly not great. Yeah. Yeah, you down. Now6892. The treatment the non-Goku/Saiyan characters got in the Saiyan arc is good, actually. Yes, even Yamcha's. The intention was for the reader to feel the dread of the situation as the beloved characters we knew for 200 chapters all got outmatched and killed off like nothing in the chronological order Goku meets them. True. The problem is that you can only pull this off so much before it becomes stale, and Toriyama effectively made it to the status quo after that arc. You know what? You talk a lot of shit, but you down. I do think that Yamcha should have beat the Cybermen. I mean, he did beat the Cybermen, but you know what I mean. Survived the kamikaze attack. But I will also say that Yeah, that is one reason why the Saiyan arc is really, really good. Because everyone does their best to hold the Saiyans off, and it's not enough, but they still died doing their best, and it's cool. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, obviously, Krillin didn't die. He chronologically met Goku between Yamcha and Tien. Um, and of course, Tien and Chaozu didn't die at the same time. But I do. Yeah, I mean, I slightly get what you mean. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so you talk a lot of shit, but you down.
Son, you talk a lot of shit.
Yes, I do.
But you down.
Okay, Cowboy Curtis 4944. Chi-Chi is best girl. Okay, I'm going to say that you did comment very recently about a Chi-Chi hot take that was on a later thing. Let me get it real quick. Yeah, you did say you should address my hot take. Chi-Chi is best girl. Okay, Chi-Chi is highly dedicated to being a wife and mother, constantly working hard to keep house and spending hours a day cooking for her Saiyan family. All of her anger with Goku and nagging is born from her motherly instincts. She just doesn't want to see Gohan get hurt or killed, which he nearly does several times in the Saiyan Namek Android Cell arcs. Notice how all of this is basically absent both before Gohan is born and after Goku dies and Gohan grows into a man. The audience only doesn't like Chi-Chi because we pretty much only ever see her at her worst when her family is fighting life and death battles. Here's the thing, Cowboy Curtis. I agree with you. I do. I think the main contention is how a lot of Chi-Chi fans are insufferable, and they take Chi-Chi's worst moments and say that everyone should excuse whatever she says during those moments because it's understandable. And like I always say, you can say something is understandable without saying something is right. They will often say Chi-Chi was correct in ignoring Goku's life and death injuries. They say Chi-Chi is correct in blaming Goku for Gohan's state of injury. They say she is correct at screaming at him all the time, at throttling people. I was reading the manga the other day, and Korin was guiding the ship to find Goku and Gohan on the Saiyan battlefield, and she was throttling Korin because he said he could not be certain the exact location. He just could sense their energy. And none of that is correct to do. But it is understandable. I get it. I mean, okay, I don't get her blaming Goku. That I think is should be condemned. But, yeah, of course, any mother would be hysterical. It's very true. This is why I made that video on the Chi-Chi controversy. I went through all of it. I really wanted to make another one literally yesterday. Because I read someone saying, after she said she doesn't care if the Earth blows up, she doesn't care who dies, Gohan's her only priority, and it's all Goku's fault. And then Yajirobe says, Goku, can I hit her? And this person said, Yajirobe should be tortured. And it's well, you're not really calling out Chi-Chi for saying all these horrible things and none of them are true. And it's look, here's the thing. Again, it's all understandable for Chi-Chi, but at the same time, Yajirobe and Goku and Gohan and Krillin were the ones that were fighting for their lives. I would understand if 4 firefighters came out of a burning building and one woman ran up to one and said, "Oh, my boy, oh, I'm so glad you're safe." But if she runs up to one and says, "Oh, my boy, I'm so glad you're safe," and then she points to the other 3 and go "This is your fault. You guys are less than trash," then that's less understandable. You should not accept that. I would be "Look, bitch, I just risked my life for the Earth. What the fuck is your problem?" But, or for the fire, or whatever. You know what I mean. Now, you are right that Goku, she stops this mostly after Goku dies and after Gohan grows up. But people should still call Chi-Chi out for what she does wrong. They just shouldn't harass her over it because it is all also understandable. It's a two-way street. Yes, would any woman be a wreck? Of course. Yes, should she prioritize her son's health over her husband's? Probably. But to blame him and to ignore him entirely, meaning Goku, and to say that she doesn't care if the world blows up, and to throttle people, and to do all this, like, as long as a Chi-Chi fan can agree that that is wrong to do, then I think it's also fair for a non-Chi-Chi fan to say, but she's a mother, I get it. You know, it's nuanced, right? Now, I like Chi-Chi. I love Chi-Chi and Goku and Gohan's dynamics. I even say that in my Chi-Chi controversy video. It reminds me of my own family a lot. But you also have to acknowledge that whether or not you think Chi-Chi is best girl, that she does say and do some pretty terrible things, like, in the moment. Even though, yes, like I said, she would be hysterical. Of course she would. Okay, so I'm gonna say it's an alright take. But I hope people get what I mean. I'm not blaming Chi-Chi. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you know what I mean. Okay. Now, let's see. That ninja guy, Buu Saga Tien, was at least Super Saiyan 2 level of power. Oh, boy. Or else he wouldn't have shown up to take on Buu with the confidence he seems to have had. His Kikoho at that level probably could have done legit damage to Super Buu if he didn't have Gotenks absorbed. Okay, I'm going to tell you some Poohead lore. Back in 2009, so way back in the day, I agreed with that because I found this clandestine site that had some manga panels or something, and that had, like, it says things like Japanese sources or whatever. I forgot what it was. I remember the site in my head, like a mental image, but I can't remember exactly what it said. But it said, like, Tien was Super Saiyan 2 level of power there. And for, like, the next 7 or 8 years, every now and then, Dave and Clearin and Robin would make fun of me for having believed it. Now, I think it's come sort of full circle to where it might actually have been possible, maybe, because the Buu saga is so fucked in terms of power scaling. But that just gave me, like, war flashbacks. We really don't know. I'm going to say it's an alright take. I can't say that I agree with you or my 18-year-old self, but I can say that I don't think that we know enough to deny it either. And also, Super Saiyan 2 level, just like Super Saiyan 1 level, there's various, like, Super Saiyan 2 Adult Gohan, Super Saiyan 2... Which one? He's not a match for Super Saiyan 2 Goku or Vegeta. He's just definitely not. He can't be. As much as I would like that, he can't be. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, I don't know. I mean, I don't think Tien could probably fight Dabura hand-to-hand. At least, I don't think so. But who knows? I don't know. He could be Perfect Cell level. We really don't know. Hard to say. But yeah, it's a little lore dump. Okay, last question for the regular ones. Or not, last hot take. Kratos-sama says, every character that trained with King Kai should have been using Kaioken. And he got 33 likes. Damn. That's not a spicy take, but I agree. They should have been able to. Like, Kaioken is supposed to be extremely difficult to learn, but also, all of the guys that go there were deemed worthy of being there. And again, there is a possibility that they did learn it, and that we just don't see it, kind of like how we don't see Goku using it against Frieza until they mention it, and then it shows Goku using it in the panel. It's kind of hard to tell. But yeah, no, I agree. That's straight facts. Okay, now we're going to do some YuYu Hakusho hot takes, guys. All right, let's start this. All right. Okay, let's do it. All right, this dog, 812. Hey, buddy, I know you. YuYu Hakusho take. Keiko is a top 5 character. That's so difficult for me. Because YuYu Hakusho is one of those series that every character complements the other characters so well, I can never choose favorites. I always say Yusuke is my favorite, but that's just because I act like him and I look exactly like him, pretty much, in real life. with his hair down at least, and so people have always associated me with Yusuke, and so I always think of Yusuke being, but like really, I cannot choose. But Keiko is like, I don't know how someone dislikes Keiko. She's not annoying. I can understand how people might be annoyed at Chi-Chi, but I don't know why you'd be annoyed at Keiko. She's so cute, and she's so nice, and she is so supportive, and she, unlike certain things with Chi-Chi, everything that Keiko does, I would expect a normal girl to do in dangerous situations, and then sometimes she is also brave. And like I've said before, Keiko has a special place in my heart because with the woman that I was going to marry, you know, we kind of embodied ourselves with Yusuke and Keiko because she acted like Keiko, I acted like Yusuke. It was, yeah. But I love Keiko. I'm gonna say you down. I'm gonna say it's pretty good. Okay, Kyle Rayner 9167. Hey, buddy. Yu Yu Hakusho demons don't look nearly as demonic as they should, which coming from Togashi is disappointing. Ooh, that's spicy. You don't think they look demonic? I mean, the main character demons don't look super demonic. Hiei and Kurama and Yukina. But there's plenty of demonic demons. Like, I mean, okay, if you mean main characters, then I agree. Even though I think Hiei and Kurama, they aura farm as much as Piccolo, and they can back it up. So I'm not going to say that they don't look good, but there are a bunch of demons that are main characters that don't look super demonic. But I will also say that, like, in Yu Yu Hakusho, the stronger the demon, usually, the more human they look. Generally, not always. There's certain super powerful demons that are only monsters that look just like massive dragons and things like that. But most of the time, very strong demons look more human. So that's kind of how, and so you don't see the truly demonic ones. But there's a lot of demons that are extras, and even some that fight in the Dark Tournament and Demon Tournament that do look very demonic. So I don't think I fully agree with you. But if you mean by main characters, then I will say, yeah, that's a spicy take, though. I like it. Okay, Luis Coringa. Hey, buddy, what's up? I think the reason Kuwabara didn't participate in the last tourney is pretty silly. I agree, definitely. When I first saw Yu Yu Hakusho, I dropped it before the Demon Tournament arc because I was like, no Kuwabara, they're breaking up the team? Why the fuck are they doing this? So I was pissed when I was younger. Okay. You also say, I think Hiei and Mukuro as the kings of Makai would be a good ending for the series. I also agree with that, dude. This is pretty good. Okay, the fandom hates the Sensui arc for no reason. It's the best arc in terms of character for me. I don't know if it's the best in terms of character for my opinion, but I will say that people shouldn't hate the Sensui arc. It was a solid arc. Not sure why they would hate it. And the best Yu Yu Hakusho game is the Mega Drive one by Treasure. I've never played that one. But just mentioning a game in general, I'm going to say it's perfect. Really good takes. Okay. And last one but not least, Rat Mom says, Yu Yu Hakusho needed more tournament arcs. Really? But that was half the series. I don't know if I agree with... I mean, okay, I will always take more Yu Yu Hakusho, but if we had to choose between another tournament arc and a regular, sort of more adventure arc, I'd probably choose the other. I love the OVAs. Anyone who loves Yu Yu Hakusho should watch the OVAs. They were super good. They were much better than I thought they would be. And I also love that they brought the English cast back, like man for man and woman for woman. Like they got everyone back, which was really cool. I loved it. Okay, really good takes, guys, with the Yu Yu Hakusho. Now let's go to my Patreon. Good lord. Okay, I don't know if I'll get all these right now. That's a lot more than I thought. Okay. Alright, okay. Hall, K12, I will do yours at the beginning of the next one. but I don't have as much breath right now, and that you have a bunch. But I hope you will. The next one will be soon, and I will get to you for the first one for that. But that's a lot. Okay, let me do Taka Shimojima. Okay, he says, "Yay, I like the hot takes." Hey, thanks, Taka. It's nice to hear Pooh's opinions. Thank you. Hot take: Videl was a better character before getting together with Gohan. Her suspicious and keen observations of Gohan's character was a much more interesting dynamic, and she maintained her unique personality and style. Once she became enamored with Gohan and subsided her sleuthing and detective work, she became largely a mere extension of Gohan, not to mention her maternal activities. Actually, I don't really think this is a hot take. Let me try to think of another one. That's actually a good one. Now look, it's a good one. I do agree. I like Videl quite a bit. And GT Videl was actually pretty good too. But Super Videl is, I always say, she's a cardboard cutout of a Stepford wife character. All she does is go, Gohan-kun, and then I'm pregnant. That's such a disappointment. Now, we do get information that she started a dojo and she trains, but that's telling, not showing. Like, we really get no information. Like, we see none of that. Like, what's the point of telling us that if we don't see it? It's very silly. But I agree, Taka. Very good. Okay. Green Turret. My hot take is that I have no problem with Caulifla and the other Saiyans in Universe 6 gaining Super Saiyan so easily. Okay. If the Super Saiyan form was only obtainable through rage, like many would suggest when I asked them about this issue, then the Saiyans of Universe 7 would have gotten it sooner. It was only because Goku's pure heart and the help of his friends that he was able to tap into his inner strength and unlock the form, leading others to do it with more ease time after time. For Goten and Trunks, who lived during a period of peace, it was very easy to unlock. For Saiyans of a different universe that had long since changed from their evil ways and lived in generations of peace, it should be just as easy as it was for Goten and Trunks. They just needed to know it was possible in the first place and had one of the best teachers possible to help them. I don't entirely agree, and the reason is... Okay, here's the thing. And I've said this before, but it was a while ago. You need to be at a certain threshold of power in order to become a Super Saiyan. And most Saiyans, no matter how angry they got, just did not reach that threshold of power yet. And half Saiyans grow stronger quicker. So Goku was 3 million in power level when he first gained Super Saiyan. Vegeta was likely very close to that, maybe even stronger than that, when he became a Super Saiyan. And it's very likely that every half Saiyan was that level or higher when they became Super Saiyans. It's just that half Saiyans get stronger far quicker than regular Saiyans. Now, a part of it with Goten and Trunks is just plot, that they were that strong, but it is consistent with how things work. And so maybe they were just, I don't know. It is, I will say it's strange that Caulifla and the other Saiyans in Universe 6 gained Super Saiyan. Like, I mean, it's a different universe, so I'm not going to say that it's a bad take. Just that in the regular universe, that's how Super Saiyan's achieved. But no, if there's another universe, then I don't mind their different rules. That's fine. So I'm okay. So I didn't agree with like what you were like the argument, but I do agree with what you're saying, is what I mean. But good one, Green Turret. Also, love your art. Okay, Alexander Wabb. He says, okay, I have a few, but I'll only put one to save time. Oh, thank you. This used to not be a hot take, but due to the fandom just latching onto the most popular DB YouTuber's opinion, it is one now. Very true. Super Saiyan 3 is not a useless form. True. A very important part of Goku's character development is the pursuit of strength. Every arc/saga has him pursuing getting stronger, be it through training with King Kai before Vegeta and Nappa arrive, or training in the time chamber with Gohan before the fight with Cell. Goku having Super Saiyan 3 represents going beyond his limits and gaining further heights in his strength. This is a far better way to handle Goku's time in Otherworld than just have him show up with a Super Saiyan 2 and achieve nothing else. Because that's not in Goku's character, he would want to go even further. That is true. Even if he never went back to Earth, Goku would still train and want to gain further strength. A common complaint about Super Saiyan 3 is the fact that it wasn't used against Majin Vegeta. I find that to be a bit dumb complaint because it was even said by Goku that Super Saiyan 3 is a newer form that he's rusty with and consumes a lot of energy. Also true. It wouldn't make sense to use it against Vegeta. Even if he did, what would it achieve? Vegeta feels slightly worse about himself? That's stupid, and it would have wasted even more time than they were already wasting in the Buu Saga. Even if Super Saiyan 3 was an ass pull by Toriyama, it was a well-written ass pull that was a good way for the characters to catch up to Buu's strength, even if they were still at an overall disadvantage. You know, you talk a lot of shit, but you down. I will say I agree with almost all of that. I will say that if Goku became Super Saiyan 3, it wouldn't have wasted time. He would have just beaten Vegeta in like 3 hits and he'd be down. But it would have wasted Goku's time. Like, it would have taken time away from Goku. But I will say that when people complain about Goku not going Super Saiyan 3, Goku does explain why he didn't, and they ignore those facts when they shouldn't. They do it just to be consistent with their own narrative, which is stupid. What Goku says about it, like, it's rusty and it consumes a lot of energy, that's completely valid on why Goku didn't want to. I also think it's partially because Goku wanted a good fight, but Goku also makes a good point, and you make a good point there. And no, it's not a useless form because it was needed to be against Kid Buu, and it was needed to hold off Fat Buu. So yeah, not a useless form. You talk a lot of shit, but you down, Alexander Wob. Thanks. Okay. Now let's see. Robert Charity, a.k.a. Mad Dog, a.k.a. my boy. Alright. Dragon Ball Z should have featured more interaction between Goku and Master Roshi. I agree. I understand that Goku eventually gained new masters along the way, but there was always something special between Goku and Roshi. Even a small training arc with Roshi, Krillin, Goku, and Gohan, where Gohan could experience some of the Turtle School training before the Cell Games, could have added more oomph to the moment. That's so true, dude. I love Dragon Ball's initial focus on martial arts, and I felt like Gohan didn't get enough of that. You just got like the demon and mystic stuff. Okay, that's peak, dude. That's peak. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Mad Dog's got it perfect. Okay, Will-O-Wisp. Hey, Willow. Goku having to come in and steal Gohan's thunder in the Buu Saga did almost permanent damage to the character and made him less of what he could have easily been, or what he could have been. Like a modern-day wrestler getting buried by a veteran wrestler. It really sucks, and while I understand why Goku needed to be brought back and made the center of attention, it doesn't make my goat getting perma-nerfed any less painful. I mean, he wasn't entirely perma-nerfed due to Beast Gohan and the new movie and stuff like that, but mostly you are correct. Gohan's been nerfed a lot. Yeah, and also, Goku coming back made people think that Goku was stronger than Gohan, which is stupid. Mystic Gohan is the strongest non-fused person in the whole original manga. So yeah, I agree with you. Like 98% I agree with you. You're right. Yeah, pretty good. Okay, and last but not least, GJ Hasanaj. This isn't a hot take, but opinion on Android 17 versus Android 13 in base. Android 17 versus Android 13 in base. Android 17. Android 13 does well against Super Saiyan Goku and the others, but like Super Saiyan Goku fighting Android 17 would have been worse than Super Saiyan Goku fighting against, or Super Saiyan Vegeta fighting against Android 18. And Goku held his own against Android 13 in base better. Now that is assuming that Super Saiyan Goku in that movie is the same power level as Super Saiyan Goku in the Android arc. It's hard to say if that's true, but if that is true, then Android 17 would be slightly stronger. Yeah, okay. All right. I think that's everything for this hot takes. Okay, guys, I appreciate it. Sorry, Hawk, I would get to you, but I am running out of breath, and I'm about to go to sleep. But I will get to you, like I said, first thing next time. Okay, guys, I hope you appreciate these hot takes. I hope you enjoyed my commentary. Please like and comment if you enjoyed the video. Sharing and subscribing always helps. And of course, the Patreon link is in the description below if you care to give a few bucks. But if not, no worries. Okay, guys, have a good one. See ya.